Hello and welcome to Geeky Guys. If you're into geeky things, we're the guys for you. Just a quick note before we get into the video for today. If you go onto the Patreon site in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, there's a couple of exclusive videos that I'm putting up there for patrons. So if you would like to become a patron, now's the best time to do so. You're going to get more exclusive videos per week and per month and whatnot. So go and check that out. As always, all links are in the description. Welcome to this video today, guys. Whether you're here for the first time or you're returning again. In this video, we're diving into our set review of Strixhaven and having a look at the cards that we can find for our EDH decks. So in this video we're going through black and blue, and we're starting off with black. If that wasn't too obvious when I said black and blue in that regard, but sometimes when you say it's in this order, it changes, but whatever. First off, a Baleful Mastery. I think this one, it's pretty underrated, to be honest, in my opinion, just at least. So, 4 mana, we exile target creature or planeswalker. That's standard base removal. Typical stuff. But it has this alternate casting cost like a few of these spells have. We may pay 1 and a black. Rather than play the spell's mana cost, if we pay the 1 and a black, the opponent gets to draw a card. So this downside, I think this downside probably won't make it into standard stroke pioneer, stroke modern, stroke all those things, because it's too much of a downside. In Commander, what the heck? Who cares? It's 2 mana to exile a creature or planeswalker. Planeswalker isn't that big of a text. Realistically, yes, one of my friends does have a planeswalker deck, and, you know, they have their Atraxa, but that's one of the few creatures that they do have. But I would still rather exile the Atraxa. That way I can punch through the planeswalkers with my creatures. So that's a thing that does happen, but you do need removal, and this is good black removal. Black hasn't had that much good single target removal, exile based removal at least. So this is really good, you know. Again, you know, giving an opponent, and it doesn't have to be the opponent who you exile the permanent of the creature or the planeswalker, what have you. You can just give it to another player. Say, hey, look, I'm going to exile his Atraxa, but I'm going to give you the card draw. Let's be friends. You know, if I give you the card draw, then will you not attack me for a turn while I attack his planeswalkers and whatnot, so that I can just get some of those off the battlefield or whatnot. Things like this, you can do all sorts of kinds of deals with people and things like that. So it's really good. I think the downside just isn't big enough in Commander. Callous Blood Mage up next. 2 and a black, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, we choose 1. We create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. When this creature dies, we gain 1 life. Or draw a card and lose 1 life. Or we exile target player's graveyard. None of these things are that impactful on their own, but in the right deck, some of the abilities could have some use and some synergy. The exile target player's graveyard, I wouldn't feel too bad about playing 3 mana to exile somebody's graveyard, especially with the creature, especially I'm playing a graveyard deck. So that's pretty good effect. If I don't need to do that, then I might just get the pest. I don't know, maybe I need to gain some life, or maybe I just need something to sack, or whatnot. You know, otherwise I'll just draw a card and lose 1 life. That's fine too. 3 mana to draw a card and lose 1 life on a creature in my, you know, graveyard-based deck, you know, which I can recur and I can sack and I can get more cards out of, and, you know, things like this, so it will have much more synergy. I do think this can find some space in certain decks because it has a lot of little things that incrementally make it fairly good. Alright, next, Confront the Past. X and a black. We choose one. We return target planeswalker with CMC or mana value X or less from our graveyard to the battlefield. We remove twice X loyalty counters from target planeswalker and an opponent controls. So, like I said, the planeswalker effect, it's not that impressive. It is a sorcery, so that's a little bit meh to me, but that's the reason it's a sorcery, in my opinion, is because of that returning aspect. Returning a planeswalker from your graveyard straight to the battlefield, pretty good. You do have to pay 1 additional mana for it, but it's essentially a tutor from your graveyard to the battlefield, so that's okay. I think it can find some place in some decks, certainly. Not the biggest, but certainly still a pretty interesting card that can find some place in some decks. Alright, moving on. Sedgemoor Witch, 2 and a black, 3/2. It has Menace, and it also has Ward. And it has the Ward effect on this card is pay 3 life. So whenever somebody goes to target it, they have to, with the spell, they have to pay 3 life. Yeah, when an opponent controls, you don't have to pay the 3 life. Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you get a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when it dies, you gain 1 life. If you're in a black-based spellslinger deck, like Grixis perhaps, you know, and things like this, I would consider this, because you're just getting these free pests off of casting your instant and sorceries, so I think that's pretty good. You know, all these other cards, like Towerand and whatnot, and Murmuring Mystic and whatnot, see a lot of play, so I think that this one can see some play too. The effect that it has Ward and it protects itself a little bit, that's good, so it helps you, you know, protect it. It does have Menace, so it is somewhat difficult to block sometimes, so that can be relevant as well sometimes. Mage Hunter, 4 mana, 3/4. Whenever an opponent casts or copies an instant sorcery, they lose 1 life. This can be anti-storm card or anti-spellslinger card. If your friends are playing a lot of spellslingery decks, you know, this can be a great hoser, or it can at least help you stay in the game. And, you know, if they're sort of losing a lot of life, they might be disincentivized to try and storm off and try and win the game. Or they might not be able to win the game. They might lose before they kill everyone. So, you know, I don't know if this is a bit more of a spiky card to a degree. It's okay, though, in certain matchups, but it is a little bit dependent on that. So it might not find that much space, but it is just a nice little uncommon. So if you find yourself going up against a lot of people that like to run all of these, you know, spell-based combos, you might want to just throw it in there as just a little bit of hate. Don't want to put too much in your deck to hate out your opponents, but, you know, just a little bit's just fine. Plum the Forbidden, 2 mana, 1 and a black, instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice 1 or more creatures. When you do, you copy this spell for each creature sacrificed this way. You draw 1 card and you lose 1 life. So this is a really good effect because there's a lot of sacrifice decks. The thing that you want out of sacrificing your creatures is some benefit. Drawing cards is a good benefit if you have a board full of creatures. This can be this can sacrifice 7 of your creatures, draw 7 for 2. Yes, you'll lose 7 as well, but That's a very small price to pay for 2 mana at instant speed. This is amazing. And again, with some of the other cards that I was talking about, like Sedgemoor Witch, if you happen to have Sedgemoor Witch out on the battlefield, when you cast this, you can get the token, and then you can sacrifice the token as part of the cost as well. And then you will gain 1 life, and you will draw another card because you've made a free creature off of it. So, you can even just like draw 1 for 2 at instant speed. That's not terrible. And if you want to sacrifice more things, it's even better. So I really think that this can find some space in some black-based spell decks. Archmage Eternatus, 4 mana, 2/2, 2 and a blue. Whenever we cast or copy an instant sorcery spell, we draw a card. Very, very powerful. We want to draw cards off of casting our spells if we're in the spell slinger deck. So if you're in a spell slinger deck, I would definitely consider it. It's very good. You want more cards to cast more spells. To cast more spells, you want to draw more cards. So just a really good spell. Or a creature. Next, Ingenious Mastery, X and 2 and a blue. Sorcery. You may play 2 and a blue rather than pay its cost. If the 2 and the blue was paid, you draw 3 cards. Then an opponent creates 2 treasures. And then they scry 2. If that wasn't cost, you may draw X cards. So this one, a little bit more different. I still think that this is worth it because, again, it doesn't matter. You aren't so disincentivized not to pay the X here. And that's good with some of these cards. I think it's really incentivized in some of these cards to be like, oh, well, I don't really care about paying less and giving my opponent a small benefit, and I just get this amazingly powerful effect off of it. I don't think this one's as good as some of the other ones, but it's still alright. But I just don't think that you're ever going to be sad about, drawing additional cards off of this. It is a sorcery, and it is a little bit underpowered. It will be better the more mana that you have, so you really want to be a very heavy mana deck, and you want to be able to copy this and do other things so that you can get extra value off of it, and you want to be able to, get specifically mana out of this. Again, maybe it goes into like the Zixara style decks where you just want a million mana anyway and just be able to pump a lot of mana into this and just create free Hydras for drawing cards and whatnot, for an additional 3 mana. So that doesn't seem too bad. Next up, multiple choice, X and a blue sorcery. If X is 1, you scry a 1 and draw a card. So that's opt, essentially, except for 1 additional mana. If X is 2, you may choose a player. They return a creature they control to its owner's hand. So that is like Roiling Regrowth, or Reeling Regrowth, or whatever it's called. Basically, you bounce a creature to a opponent's hand, or you can return your own creature. So that's a 2 mana effect. So again, 1 additional mana. Not that impressed yet. If X is 3, you create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. So by that time, you are casting it for 4 CMC, or mana value of 4. So a 4/4 for 4, not terribly impressive. But again, if we copy some of these effects with other effects, they can be good. But if X is 4 or more, do all of the above. So this is where we want this spell. this is where we actually start getting really good value out of this spell if we start casting this spell for 4 or more. And again, maybe it goes into the Strixhaven style deck where you've got a lot of mana and you care about the X spell a lot. You just get a whole bunch of other stuff off of this when you cast this. When you cast it for more than 4x. So for 5 mana, you know, you're getting a 4/4. Plus, in that Strixhaven deck, you're probably getting another 4/4. So you're getting 8 power out of this. Then you can return a creature to an opponent's hand. And then you can scry 1 and draw a card. So all of those effects, I think, you know, again, in the right deck are quite good. And we'll see some play somewhere, I'm sure, at least. Next, Divine by 0. 3 mana, instant. Return target spell or permanent with CMC or mana value 1 or greater to its owner's hand. And it has Learn, but that's irrelevant because all the Learn lesson cards do not really do very much. So we get to bounce a creature, planeswalker, artifact, or enchantment that's on the battlefield or on the stack, or instant or sorcery, even, as long as its CMC is, or mana value is 1 or greater. So we can't bounce lands and we can't bounce tokens. That's about it. But this is very flexible. This is the cheapest version of this spell that hits so many permanence types and such wide CMC of types that we've ever seen. So this is one of the best effects, and it also works while it's on the stack. It just gets around uncounterable and gets around other effects like that. So it's quite good, and I would think about running it if you really want to get rid of some problematic things. So it has that flexibility of being able to get rid of something on the board or on the stack. So that's really quite good. Next, Resculpt 2 mana, 1 and a blue, instant. Exile target artifact, or creature its controller gets a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. Blue gets exile target artifact or creature for 2 mana at common. This is pretty absurd. You know, before blue couldn't touch other people's artifacts. It could touch your own artifacts, you could sack your own artifacts and whatnot, things like that. Transmute and things like that. Those are some of those other cards. But it's never really been able to target opponents' artifacts. Neither has black. Black's never been able to target artifacts or enchantments. Them giving some more flexibility to these other colors. It is a bit of a color pie break, but it is very good because, again, even if you're giving them that 4/4 or that card draw or something else, something small that really doesn't matter that much, it won't matter that you give them this 4/4 9 times out of 10. You know, again, it doesn't have evasion. And again, so what if it gives them something? You've gotten rid of the thing, probably, of theirs that's going to kill you right now or going to win the game for them. That's the difference between this being good in standard, modern, pioneer, whatnot, and it might be good in those formats, maybe, possibly. It is cheaply costed, and it does have fairly decent effect, and Exile is just absurdly good. Exiling something is way better than destroying something. Oh, that thing is indestructible? Well, I guess all this destroy target whatnot in my hand does nothing. So I guess I'm big sad. So, you know, just this spell can see a lot of play, and I think it will be a new staple, along with a lot of these other cards. There'll be new staples. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. You know, What did you think about these cards? What are you hyped for from the set? Let me know all the stuff. What legends do you want to see me build around? Whatnot? Write it down there in the comments below. Please remember that the success of channels like this is based on viewers like you, so please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing if you would like to support this content. You can also get social with us on our Discord and on our Facebook. If you would like to further support the channel, you can go onto our Patreon. All links are in the description. Thank you for your support. It really means a lot. I hope you have enjoyed this video here today. And if you have, I hope you will come back for another one. See you then.